Hi, it's Alexis Hasselberger, time management and productivity coach. Today, I want to share with you a little bit of a story about how I have made a major change in my life that I am really happy about. And it has something to do with my kids. But even if you do not have kids, I want you to watch because there is a lesson in this for, anyone who we want to foster independence of, from our direct reports, our coworkers, other people that we live with, et cetera. So I want to share this with you. And I am assuring you that I am not trying to brag, but it is something that I'm really excited about. So at the beginning of the school year, my kids have started getting up on their own before my alarm goes off and getting themselves off to school. And now my kids are 13 and almost 15. And so it's not as if they're little ones, but they have reached a time in their lives where they have the ability to be more independent. And as a result, for the first time in like the 15 years since I became a parent, my kids are waking up on their own with their own alarm clocks. They are making their own breakfast. They're eating their own breakfast. They are making their own lunches. I mean, they've been doing that actually since they were about in first grade, but they're making their own lunches, heating up their own leftovers, whatever it is, getting it into their lunchboxes, and then getting to school on public transit by themselves. As a result of this, my alarm does not go off now until after they are already out the door and at school, meaning that I am getting about 90 minutes more sleep every single day than I have been getting for the last 15 years because, I am a night person. I have tried to be a morning person. I certainly have been waking up for the last 15 years, much earlier than my body and my brain want to. But because my kids are now independently able to get them off to school by themselves, that means that I am able to sleep more, which to me is really, really exciting. So I share this with you, not to brag about how excited I am about the fact that my kids are now getting off to school and I'm getting more sleep, but really because I want to share with you how we made this change, because this really is a story about delegation. It's a story about how we foster in others the ability to do the things that we were once doing so that those things aren't on our plates anymore, and how we do this in such a way that it is a win-win for everyone. So when thinking about this, it's not as if I said, the day before school started, okay, kids, this year you are going to be getting yourselves off to school. No, about 6 months before all of this, I started socializing this idea with them. I started talking about the fact that this was going to be the year that they were going to be getting themselves off to school, that they were going to be independent in the mornings. We started getting used to and comfortable with the idea that that responsibility was going to shift from me to them, right? I didn't do this, right, by getting a nanny or a chauffeur or anything else. We were shifting the responsibility within the resources that we already had in our home. Right? So we started talking about this. We started talking about this in our weekly family meetings. We started asking questions about, what are you concerned about if we do this? What are the things you don't know? What are the things that you might be worried about? How can we support you? How can we create supportive structures to help you feel good about this independence, to help you be successful at this so that you're to school on time, that you have food in your belly, that you feel good about it? So we started asking those questions. And then based on what we were hearing, we started creating supportive structures around that. Now, my older kid is more like me in that, man, I'm just waking up is so hard for him. And so the thing that he needed the most help with was thinking about his alarms, right? How many alarms does he need? How loud do they need to be? What does that look like, right? And I will say we've had like one day where it didn't go so well and he did not get to school on time. That happens, right? But one day out of, I don't know how many, 3 months worth of school is not bad. So we started thinking about that. With my younger one, it was more around the food stuff, right? He is not as used to cooking for himself as my older kid is. He's capable of it, but he wasn't doing it all the time. And we found that when thinking about, some of the things that he needed help with were, what are the possible options for him to make for himself in the morning for breakfast and for lunch? And with those possible options, what are the things that he could do easily and quickly, and how to do them? Because sometimes it's overwhelming when we're like, there's a lot to do. What do I do? I'm not sure. And so what we made was actually very simple, an intervention that we set up, which is we just have a laminated sheet, and on it, it says, what are all the options for breakfast that we have in the house generally at any time? And what are all the options for lunch that we have in the house generally at any time? And then exactly what to do to make those. And so what I learned when going through this process was, I thought saying, if you're going to make a bacon and egg and cheese sandwich, I thought it was easy enough to say, fry the egg. Turns out, no, he needed more than that. He needed in this checklist to say, put butter in the pan, turn it on to medium low heat, wait until the butter is melted, put the egg in the pan, put a lid on the pan. Like, that's what was needed so that he could feel comfortable with those jobs, right? Those things that were needed to do. And I didn't know that until I asked, right? So we created these supportive structures and we had them there, and it's been going really, really well. Now, how can you bring this back to you? And maybe it's with your kids, or maybe it's with your direct reports or your team or anything else. Like when you need to delegate, when you need to teach someone how to do something, sometimes it just feels like, oh, it's going to be so much easier if I just do it myself, right? And that's true, but then you don't get to sleep in for 90 extra minutes, right? If you do it all yourself forever, you don't foster the independence in those around you. You don't give them the autonomy. You also have that on your shoulders forevermore, right? Instead of being able to give that up and to let go. So when we are training somebody to do something or shifting the responsibility from ourselves onto someone else, there is a 4-step process that we can use. So the first thing we want to do is that we want to show them how to do it, right? We want to do it while they're watching. They can ask questions, they can interject, you can narrate as you go along, etc. Then you want to do it together. You're taking a step back, you're still doing it together, but they are doing more of the work, right? Then you want them to do it alone, and you're going to provide feedback. Maybe that's in the moment, maybe that's after the fact, etc. And then finally, and I think this is the absolute hardest part, is you have to let go, right? You can't micromanage it anymore once the responsibility has shifted. And I learned this, relearned this. What am I talking about? I've learned this lesson so many times, the hard way this time, which was that for the first several weeks of this, I was a nag. I was asking my kids every day, have you thought about what you're going to eat for breakfast tomorrow? Did you pack your lunch? Did you set your alarms? I was asking those questions every night. And what I was effectively saying is, I don't believe that you can do this on your own. And so I had to just stop it. I had to stop saying those things, as much as it pained me to do so. And it has been fine. It has been better because now they know that there is no stopgap. Like, I am not there to solve the problem. I'm asleep in the morning. I'm not there to solve that problem. They need to solve this on their own. And not only do they need to do it on their own, they are capable of doing it on their own because we've talked through it. So show, do together, let them do it, provide feedback, and then let go. Now, if you are looking for some tools to do this in the workplace, there are a few tools that I find really, really helpful that I'm sure you might find helpful as well. So one of them is Loom. Loom is a free tool. I'm sure they have a premium version, but there's a free version of it where you can just make really quick videos of whatever you're doing to show somebody how to do it, right? So you can take a screen share of yourself and whatever this thing that you're doing. You can talk through it, you can narrate it, show them what you're doing. And then you send them that video. You can also use Loom for giving feedback. So if they do something, they write something and it's not quite right, instead of just fixing it, go through, do it on the screen, narrate over what your feedback is on Loom so that they can see that and they have that as an asset. Now, there's another free tool that I really love called Tango. I think it's tango.us. And this is this kind of magical tool where if you need to show somebody a process or you need to create a process for something, you just turn this on and you go about doing whatever you're doing on your computer, and it will automatically create a process with steps, step by step, including screenshots. Now you'll go in, you'll make some little edits, and you'll send them a link. Now they have an exact process for the thing that you need them to do that they're going to take ownership for. And then lastly, this is a no-cost tool because this is something you can just do on your own. Create a checklist, right? It is or better yet, have the people doing the thing create a checklist for themselves of the steps. Because if you have a checklist, if you have a set of things that you're doing, if you have a process, then it's much easier for you to let go. And it's much easier for them to feel like they have control and autonomy because they are following a process that they feel good about that you've defined together. So if you would like to push people out of the nest and do it in such a way that they can actually fly and be successful, then these are some of the tools that you can use. I hope this has been helpful for you. If you want to continue to get this type of content in your feed, then please make sure to subscribe. So I will be here every single week with new tips and perspectives for you.
Thank you for watching this video. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe because only about 20% of the people that watch our videos are subscribed.